How to Chase Away Your Fears. Written by Just Thinking Drabbles. Read by Arashi. Lysithea hated the dark. She didn't tell many people about it because she didn't want them to think she was childish, but the truth was that it terrified her. She tried her best not to walk anywhere in the palace at night without having a candle or lighting a fire spell, but even that could only do so much to calm her nerves, especially since she was far too aware of every little sound that she passed along her way. As she walked down the hall towards her bedchamber, she jumped at the whistling of the wind, which blew through an open window, and squeaked when a creaky floorboard bent beneath her footstep. She placed a hand on her chest to calm her rapidly beating heart, but it did little to aid her. It didn't help that she had a myriad of ghost stories that Mercedes liked to tell, rattling around in her mind. Thinking about them made her even more paranoid, and when she saw the silhouette of a suit of armor in the hall, she nearly ran back the other way until she realized what it was. She shook her head, feeling silly for wanting to react so dramatically over nothing. She had been on night watches for their army, filled with more threats than this hallway. Why was she letting the idea of something that was probably not even real get the better of her? Well, not any more, she thought to herself, and did her best to continue onwards without allowing her worries to get the better of her. There wasn't anything to be afraid of, or that was what she tried to keep reminding herself at least. But just as she was nearing her bedroom door, she saw a small, dark figure down the hall, like the one she'd seen a minute ago. Except, unlike the suit of armor, this one was moving, and it was coming straight towards her. She felt a chill run up her spine, and she thought about running away, but she was too afraid to move. Unsure of what else to do, she began to scream, certain that someone nearby might hear her and come help. Yet, as she yelled, the figure started approaching faster, and thus she started to scream even louder. "Lysithea, wait! It is just me!" A familiar voice called her name, and Lysithea stopped her screaming. As the figure came into the candlelight, she realized that it was not a ghost, but merely her girlfriend, Edelgard. She breathed a sigh of relief before remembering her panic, and her cheeks flushed crimson. "Goodness, are you all right, darling? I'm sorry if I startled you." Lysithea shook her head.
No, it's all right. I'm sorry I scared you with my screaming."
Edelgard waved away her concern and smiled softly at her. "Don't worry about it. I'm just glad you aren't hurt. Though, I must say, I am curious as to why I scared you so much." She looked away shyly.
"I'll tell you, but promise you won't laugh?"
"I promise." With a sigh, she turned to face her once again and felt instant peace wash over her as she looked into her lilac eyes.
I thought you were a ghost,"
she admitted sheepishly. Edelgard quirked a brow. "A ghost?" Lysithea nodded.
"I don't really like the dark, and traveling in it alone makes me nervous. And then when I started thinking about all of the scary stories I hear people tell, and well, my mind couldn't help but think the worst."
Edelgard hummed and took Lysithea's hand in her own, causing her face to heat for an entirely different reason. "I see. I truly am sorry for startling you. Perhaps I can make it up to you."
"There really isn't a need to—"
Edelgard cut her off with a gentle kiss to her lips. It was loving and soft, and it made Lysithea's heart flutter in her chest. It was a feeling she preferred much more than the terrifying rapidness of its pace mere moments ago. She was thankful to have Elle. With her, she felt calm, protected, and her fears of the dark and ghosts vanished from her mind, like sand slipping through her fingertips. "Now then, why don't we go to bed?" asked Edelgard, once she had pulled away. Lysithea nodded, and followed her into their shared chambers, comforted by the fact that she would sleep safe and sound by the woman she loved.